No classroom. You're sharing a classroom with Mr. Galanis, Principal Twomey says, heavyset and out of breath from climbing up the stairs to the third floor. The third floor is the inner sanctum of the English department. We don't appreciate visitors here, especially ones from administration. Rarely do they bring good news. And notification of sharing a classroom. There isn't any worse news to be had. I am not sharing my classroom, I say, capping my red pen. As a rebuttal, I motion around the room, from the busts of stately literary masters on the bookshelves to the posters of philosophical quotes on the walls. Everything in my classroom is alphabetized, oddly, not a jot nor tittle out of place. The principal looks at me in disgust. Now that we've had our chat, I continue. There are 180 poorly written summer essays on the human condition that need my attention, and your tomfoolery is delaying my progress. Uddharan Chinna. Miss Foxcroft, I decline to share my classroom, I say, looking over my glasses. Let Mr. Galanis fire up his Bunsen burners elsewhere. Miss Foxcroft, our enrollment numbers necessitate that we pool our resources. This is not really your classroom, per se. It is a resource of the school, one that is sorely needed during your planning period. I stand up, eye to eye and toe to toe with this principal, young enough to be my son. You are commandeering my classroom for the new science teacher. Just during your planning period, you may teach your other 6 periods here. Oh, can I? I purse my lips, sarcasm pulling in the corners. Oh, lucky me. 30 years of dedicated service to the school, maintaining a passage rate of 90% in both AP English Language and AP Literature, and this is how you repay me. Uddharan Chinna. Miss Foxcroft. Don't. You. Miss Foxcroft. Me. Miss Foxcroft. And exactly where do you think I should spend my planning period? In the teacher's lounge. He replies in ip-speak, typical of his generation. Does no one use declaratives anymore? If I want to snack on stale banana bread while being propositioned into joining a multi-level marketing scheme, I will deign to sit in the teacher's lounge. In the meantime, let me do my job. I uncap my red pen and prepare to eviscerate a thesis statement. Tomorrow, Miss Foxcroft, the principal says on the way out the door. Vacate your room during 6th period. Someone is opening my classroom door. Oh hello, I'm sorry. I didn't think anyone would be here. Mr. Galanis awkwardly pushes a cart into my room. He's about my age, silver hair, lean. His last name derives from the Greek, meaning pale blue. Like his eyes. Well, I am in here, I reply, returning to grade my students' essays. He's wearing khakis and a red striped polo shirt. I did not know you were coming today, I lie. Well, in about 4 minutes, 27 7th graders will be joining us, he says, unfolding newspaper pages, spreading them across the floor as a drop cloth. He busily sets up a variety of bottles and buckets. I cap my red pen. What, pray God, are you going to do in this room? I ask, an eyebrow arched in warning. Elephant toothpaste. Pardon me, what? He pauses to look at me for a moment. We are going to make elephant toothpaste. I return a blank expression. There are no words. It's an exothermic reaction, he explains. Look at this. I got 40 volume hydrogen peroxide to make this sucker bubble up like a foam python. He laughs like a madman. I look over at the bust of Chaucer, embarrassed that he has to witness such a pedestrian event. You want to help? Mr. Galanis asks over his shoulder. He's adding food coloring and liquid dishwashing soap to the oversized bucket. I grab my papers and flee. Miss Foxcroft, what is your concern now? Principal Twomey, I'm afraid our arrangement with Mr. Galanis is not working out. What high crimes and misdemeanors has Mr. Galanis committed now? Uddharan Chinna. There was half a bagel left in the wastebasket. Food cannot be left in the classroom. It attracts ants. And his 7th graders rearrange the desks. It took my last period at least 3 minutes to realign them into the proper rows, I huff. So we cannot share a classroom any longer. The situation is untenable. Uddharan Chinna. Principal Downey sighs, leaning back in his chair. I have tried to be patient, I explain. And I'm sure Mr. Galanis is just as upset over the situation as I. Uddharan Chinna. He is not. He is not upset. He is not anything. Mr. Galanis has said nothing about you or your classroom. He just does his job, and frankly, those 7th graders love him. Uddharan Chinna. We're lucky to have Mr. Galanis. He's a retired forensic scientist and former state police detective with the Major Crime Squad. Teaching is his third career. Uddharan Chinha. I figured with your love of Arthur Conan Doyle, Agatha Christie, and Dorothy L. Sayers, you'd have invited him to speak to your classes. Now, when I asked Mr. Galanis how he's managing, he specifically said that you've been nothing but helpful and kind to him. Uddharan Chinha. Even though it was before I was born, Miss Foxcroft, you do remember when you first started teaching. You do remember how overwhelming everything is. Uddharan Chinha. I hang my head. Someone is opening my classroom door. Oh hello, how's your day going? Mr. Galanis smiles, pushing a cart into our room. Good, I reply, noticing how his dark blue polo shirt accentuates his eyes. I, made some banana bread for the teacher's lounge. You want a piece? I hold up a paper plate covered in tin foil. Oh, he says, grabbing a few slabs, popping them into his mouth. Chocolate chips. My ex-wife used to add those in. He's single. I was wondering, Mr. Galanis, we're starting the murders in the Rue Morgue next week. Any chance you'd like to give my students your expert opinion on Poe's Auguste Dupin? Ah, the first literary detective with his special reasoning power. Of course, I'd love to. Thank you, Mr. Galanis. My cheeks flush. I have no idea why. Poe's Tales of Ratiocination. Yes, logical reasoning. Just let me know what periods. I'll be there. Thanks, Mr. Galanis. It will be a real treat. Just like your banana bread, he